Good evening, everyone. December 19th, commission meeting of the county clerk.
Yes, sir. District 1 Commissioner Ricky Dobbs.
Present.
District 3 Vice Chair Commissioner Terenia Carthen.
Present.
District 4 Commissioner Mark Alcaraz.
Present.
Chairman Phil Miller.
Commissioners, are there any changes in the seeing none, the agenda? We're pleased. With us this evening to lead us in our invocation. Stand for the invocation. And after the invocation, please join us.
Guide and direct us according to your will. Above all, I thank you so much for your Son Jesus Christ and for the beautiful sacrifice he made for all of us, on the cross at Calvary. I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Russell. Words. As a reminder, each have 3 minutes to make remarks and huddle. Clerk, do we have anyone sign?
Yes, we did. And before I call anyone up, I'll just remind everyone, when you reach the podium, to restate your name, address, and subject matter for the record. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to address the board. And as a reminder, all comments must be germane to tonight's agenda. Once you've reached your 3 minutes and you hear the buzzer, please wrap your comment up. Also, when you approach the podium, please adjust and directly speak into the microphone. Our first speaker is Bill Crane. I'm sorry, Bill Crane.
First, I'd just like to share with everyone, if you can't fight, you got to be like that on top of the microphone, because there's an audience at home watching this streaming, and if you go over 3 minutes and you hear that bell and you keep talking, we're going to kill the microphone. A lot of folks who probably want to speak tonight. For those of you I have not met, I've been working here by way of disclosure for Douglas County for about 15 months. Yvette Jones, our communications director and manager, can't be here tonight. She's feeling ill. So I wanted to offer some thoughts, having watched yesterday's work session and the last several weeks of our county commission meetings. Chairman Miller, Vice Chair Carthen, Commissioner Alcaraz, Commissioner Dobbs in Italy. and County Administrator Corbin. My name is Bill Crane. I reside at 317 North Clarendon Avenue in Scottsdale, Georgia, in DeKalb County. For about 15 months, my firm has been doing consultative work for Douglas County. Current contract we have expires December 31st, 2023. I'm not making any ask, and my comments tonight have nothing to do with that work. I've had the opportunity to work with every commission member here, as well as the prior commission, with the exception of Commissioner Henry Mitchell. We also worked with other elected offices in the county, and my firm does work for 2 other counties, 2 municipalities, and 1 school district. In my professional life, I've had the pleasure of working in senior staff roles for 1 governor, 3 U.S. senators, several members of Congress from both major political parties. Some of the names you might recognize would include Zell Miller, Max Cleland, Michael Bowers, Paul Coverdell, Georgia House Speaker David Ralston, as well as too many members of the Georgia legislature to member, again, in both parties. And I live in DeKalb, where we virtually only have 1 party, and that's the Democratic Party, as well as multiple members of the Georgia Sheriff's Association. Then and now, in my comments tonight, I speak on behalf of the people and in favor of transparency, good and open government. And I believe part of that is we, the public, being civil in our feedback to you. When we're critical, when we disagree, when we have sentiments we don't agree with your position on the budget, we can do so understandably in a respectful fashion. We can always be civil and act like adults, and I'd suggest as we go forward tonight, we focus on disagreements on policy versus personality. If you want to file a grievance against an individual county employee or a consultant such as myself, there's a process for that and a forum for that. This is not that. Public comment in public meetings are focused on issues germane to the matter being discussed and the issues being discussed. I would mention, as a big fan and supporter of the Community Service Board in DeKalb County, my youngest child has Down syndrome, which is a cognitive disorder as well as a congenital birth defect. Olivia has helped raise my sensitivity towards any number of people who have differences with myself, and CSBs collectively do great work. I've also served on a number of nonprofit boards, and I serve currently on a number of nonprofit boards as an advisor or a board member for the Friends of Disabled Adults and Children, which serves several 100,000 people across the country and is doing relief work in Ukraine as we speak, the Empty Stocking Fund of Metro Atlanta, the Initiative for Affordable Housing of DeKalb County, and the Down Syndrome Association of Atlanta. I mention that because each of these organizations has a number of responses and requirements as it relates to the Internal Revenue Service, the filing of its 990, its income tax return with the state and federal government to be able to maintain the tax-exempt status which it enjoys. What I've recently been witnessing repeatedly during public meetings here in Citizens Hall are veiled attacks on many of our county government managers, some of our contractors, and several of our elected officials. And having worked with you for 15 months, I'm very impressed by the caliber of leadership you have now that I'm looking at, that you have managing the various agencies, that you have in the role of the county administrator, and I felt the same way about many of the prior county administrators, county officials who are not presently serving. Exactly who do you think is discriminating against you, and how? How is asking for reasonable documentation and financial reporting discrimination? And though I expect responsible clergy to be part of civic leadership, I would also expect them to sow seeds of unity and civility versus separatism, bias, and accusation. The GMA, the Georgia Municipal Association, a code of conduct with its city civility pledge, an attempt to operate under. It's a good guide. I'm watching the clock, and I know I'm running out of time. It's easy to find it, put in GMA, codes of citizenship. Failing all of that, we've got the golden rule, which I think I don't need to explain to this audience, which is a good place, and my mother taught me that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield.
Our next speaker is Amy McCoy.
Greetings, Commissioners. My address is 7058 South Sweetwater Road, Lithia Springs, Georgia 30122. I decided to show up and ask as both a proud resident and housing advocate and business owner within Douglas County that I'm here to advocate for allocation of a portion of this 2024 budget to go towards the Greenhouse Entrepreneurship and Wellness Center, a vital community asset located within the county's boundaries. I'm actually requesting for $200,000. The greenhouse stands as a beacon of support and opportunity for the community, uniquely combining entrepreneurship and wellness. Our center not only fosters business innovation, but also addresses critical social needs. Mental health services, offering essential support in an area of mental well-being, is increasingly recognized as vital. Disabled veteran entrepreneurship and housing, providing tailored programs and housing options for our valued veterans. Workforce development for the deaf and hard of hearing. I too understand what you were saying, sir. Creating an inclusive opportunity in a segment that is often overlooked. So far, since the beginning of the greenhouse, our first cohort already has seen a remarkable success of 90% of its members advancing past its first initial funding round with major institutions like MasterCard and Visa to help underscore the effective and transformation of nature of our program. It's about community empowerment. Investing in the greenhouse is an investment in the people in Douglas County, fostering a more inclusive, healthy, and prosperous community. Veteran support by aiding veterans, we honor our service and assist in the transition in civilian life and dignity and opportunity. Addressing the critical needs, like our programs for the deaf and hard of hearing, along with mental health services, fill crucial gaps in our community's welfare system. Economic growth, as Douglas County is already comprised of 60% of our businesses community, is already small businesses. So this is an opportunity, a center that can help focus where most businesses don't survive their first year. My business, which was in the greenhouse prior to, survived over 10 years. I want to be able to translate that type of success for other business owners within Douglas County. Your support would be significantly to enhance the capacity and those that we serve in the key community segments, aligning with both the county and Congressman Scott's commitment to fostering a thriving, inclusive community. As a Douglas County business owner, I have witnessed firsthand the positive ripple effects with the greenhouse. And as our community, with your support, we can amplify this impact. So thank you for considering this proposal, and I'm happy to give you a more detailed paper. But with the time limit of being less than 24 hours of understanding I needed to be here in order to present this, I wanted to make sure I had an opportunity to bring it forward. So thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Sharon Bachtel.
Good evening.
Sharon Bachtel. Can you hear me now? Sharon Bachtel, 6331 South Skyline Drive. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I would like to speak about agenda items 22 and 5. First, the TMP. I think it is important to move on with this plan. This is the only way that we can get transportation for the handicapped citizens in districts 3 and 4, because without public transportation, we cannot, without public transportation, we cannot have paratransit transportation in our districts. Please vote yes on this. I would also like to say thank you to Director Ammons for the DocuSign services and making sure every county employee knows all of the policies and abides by them. Next, I would like to talk about the budget. I was appalled to hear that the tax commissioner had an extra $900,000 in his budget for the past 3 years. This is money that could have been used for a new scoreboard at Winston Park or even pave some roads. Keeping funds in your budget just in case you might need it for something is deceiving. I call that padding your budget. To me, this shows that the taxpayers are being overtaxed. If department budgets are inflated, then the county budget is inflated, and every year these budgets go higher and higher. I would rather see the BOC hold on to this money and give it out when it is needed, instead of extra funds sitting in their budgets. As for the coroner, I don't think cutting her budget $60,000 is enough. According to the November finance report, in 11 months, she had only spent less than 2/3 of her budget. Is she going to spend $250,000 in 1 month? Her budget in 2023 was over $600,000. Surrounding county coroners' budgets are less than $200,000. I was surprised that none of the commissioners asked the coroner how many investigations she did in 2022 and 2023 while she was complaining about her payroll cut. According to state law 45-16-7, the main job of a coroner is investigations, and deputy coroners only act when the coroner is unavailable. Another question is, why isn't she following county policy? In July of 2017, the BOC voted and approved a job description for deputy coroners. In that job description, it says that the deputy coroner position is a part-time, non-merit system position without benefits and requires contractual approval by the BOC. This is a hometown rule. How many of the current deputy coroners have contracts? It was found that the previous coroner underpaid the deputy coroners the fees required by the state. The county set up fees that would be paid to the deputy coroners according to state law.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Our next, our next speaker is Teresa Buckner.
Good evening.
Way up there. There we go. Thank you. That'll work. It's good. I'll make it. There we go. I'm Teresa Buckner. I live at 3330 Stony Brook Drive in Douglasville. Appreciate you letting me speak tonight. I'm a little confused. I need a little clarity. I watched the meeting yesterday, and I'm totally confused. I see we've got extra money that needs to go here. Everybody wants their hand in it. Everybody's got to have some. But we got people living in tents up here. Ain't got no food. No running water. We need to help these people. I'm a member of the Ladies Auxiliary and Vets Post 118 here in Lithia Springs. I see veterans every day suffering. Vietnam, Desert Storm, and there's no programs for them here. We have nothing. We have a bar, but that's not enough. They need help. We need something stabilized for them to help them. I'm not just talking mentally, but they need interaction with other people. I'm not understanding something else. I was listening to the playback yesterday, and I don't understand how Judge Peterson's trial and attorney fees, we have to pay for it. I mean, I would have a court-appointed attorney if I did something wrong. So maybe court-appointed attorney if we have to do that. I'm not really sure how that works. Judge Peterson also mentioned the claims with the HOA. That has nothing to do with our budget. I don't know what that was about. I just need some clarity. She's asking for her budget, and she requested, which I have not heard how much it is at all. I don't know. It bleaked out on the recording yesterday. And she wants it restored. What does she want it restored to? We didn't hear that. She said she wants it restored to what she asked for at the retreat, but that price was never given. I don't know what it is. I'm personally tired of footing bills for bigger and bigger budgets when I see people out here suffering that our county could be helping. I feel like my money's not going to where it needs to be. I believe that these are reasonable questions. I'm not attacking anyone. I just don't understand it. And I would love to have some clarity. I don't understand a salary for a judge that can be so high, but they have to have all these assistants.
Excuse me, let's stick to the
Yes, sir, but
budget items.
I just
okay?
need
We're
I
not
just
going to
need-
attack anybody
No,
tonight.
no, I would not do that. I'm asking questions, and I just
Thank
need
you.
some clarity. If we could get that, I would appreciate it. Thank you so much. Have a good
You-
night. Yes, sir.
Our next speaker is Derek Nichols.
Good evening. I'm Derek Nichols. I live at 3050 Autumn Woods Court in Douglasville. Lived here my whole life, 53 years. My mom, my wife, run a nonprofit here in Douglasville downtown called the Nichols Center. We put a lot of our time, money, and blood, sweat, and tears into our nonprofit, and we work closely with the CSB. My wife does tireless work for very little pay. So I'm here to ask, one, that we consider, as the previous folks have said, helping the community. I'm real big about helping the community, although I'm very conservative. I'm very conservative in that I like low taxes. Our property taxes have gone up every year. So I do ask that, appreciate your service for all you folks up here. I ask that keep these agencies in check, but also help the folks that need the help. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Our next speaker is Pastor Darrell Mauman.
Good evening,
I'm Pastor
sir.
Darrell Mauman. I pastor the Old Mountaintop Baptist Church, 2471 Mountaintop Road there in Winston, Georgia. That is Douglas County. Glad to be here. Talk to you. I was raised in Georgia. I was a Grady baby. I grew up in a time where black lived on one side, white lived on the other. I didn't know really what it was about, but my mother took me downstairs in Riches, and we couldn't go upstairs. 6 to 8, everything changed. We had integration. We moved to an all-white neighborhood in East Point, and I was just ready to enjoy all these different people. I never touched a white person's hair, and neither have a white person touched mine. And I was so interested in knowing them. But when I got to class, weighing 75 pounds in the 8th grade, 4'11", we was talking about different things, and I lifted my hand, I said, Black Power. I said, we march and we fight for what have happened. And the guy, 6'2", the same grade I was in, Carlton Hayes, a good friend of mine to this day, grabbed my wrists, and he said, but white control. I jumped in top of the chair and snatched his hand off me. And I said, no white folk gonna control me anymore. We have civil rights. And therefore, it made me believe in
Pastor, I don't mean to interrupt you, but what does that have to do with
I
the
can't
budget?
hear you. Say it again.
Huh?
Say it again. I couldn't hear you.
I said, what is what you're talking about? What does it have to do with the budget? That's what we're here to talk about.
Tell me what he said. I was hearing aids, and I just can't.
I'm sorry.
I'm going to what I'm going to. You understand? I'm going to where I'm going to. And the reason why I went that way is because the budget that we're dealing with and the things that we're dealing with here in Douglas County, it works for the people and all the people in Douglas County. But when I looked at Facebook and I saw Intram Miller said, don't know if you are aware. I don't know who were. There was about 24 people. There was about 24 people speaking in favor of favor or raising the county the taxes the budget for the coroner and the tax commissioner and probate. And you said no one spoke against it. And I was like, no one spoke against it. I said, who is the them and the you? Is it still a us and a them? And then you said the meeting was heated at times, attacking me and attacking finances, our finance and the administration and myself. I asked the question right there. Are they yours?
Thank you, and I'm going to try to humbly answer that. There's two sides. There's a Republican Party. I'm sorry, I'm talking loud as I can, but there's a Republican Party and a Democratic Party. Nobody here denies that. And whatever side you're on, thank God for freedom of this country that you get to choose. I simply made a statement that there's people that have come to me and asked me to not raise our budgets, and I have tried to stick to that. I think that the probate court, and she can correct me if she's wrong, but I think hers is $16,000 different. Am I wrong about that? 45,000 different. So it's pretty close. I don't want to raise the taxes in this county any more than we have to. The appraisal on my house, if you want a good deal, I'll sell it to you for $100,000 less than what this county has appraised it for. And there's a lot of people in this audience that would do the same. We need to take control of our tax dollars. I'm not against anybody, either side, getting what they need from this county, but this county can't be all things to all people. I respect you people that came tonight. I respect you people that came tonight. And yes, that's a Republican and that's a Democrat, and that's fine. But I have got to do what I think's right for this community. We as a group, we very seldom talk about Republicans and Democrats. We talk about what's right for this county, and that's what I'm trying to do. If I fail in your eyes, I apologize, but I don't have anything against anybody in this room, and I hope that God blesses them and keeps them safe and takes care of us all. The fact that we have different ideas, that don't make us wrong on either side. So I apologize if I've said something. If that Facebook post offended you, I apologize. It wasn't meant to hurt anybody other than the people that have been talking to me about this were not here last night. You were. And I was just simply letting them know that your side's being heard and their side is not. But thank you. I appreciate your comments. And next, please.
Our next speaker is Whitney Kenner Jones.
Good evening.
Good evening, Commissioners. Again, my name is Whitney Kenner Jones, 3211 Ann Coates Street, Douglasville, Georgia. I came to speak tonight in regards to the budget allocations for the CSB. Part of my life's greatest work, next to my children and my husband, of course, has been that I am a child welfare law attorney. I work very closely and very intimately with the CSB through referrals that the Department of Family and Children Services needs. They are one of our biggest service providers. As you all are probably aware, DFACS makes referrals for services, but we are not our own service provider. So when we have families that come to us that need mental health services for their children, mentorship opportunities for their children, when parents need substance use treatment, when they need mental health services, the CSB is where we are getting those services from. I have had the great fortune of working in Douglas County, of it being one of only 22 counties in the entire state that has a community services board. And I've also had the opportunity to work in Polk County, where they do not have a community services board. And the outcomes for our families are drastically different when we do not have appropriate services to provide to these people. There's nothing worse than having to tell a teenager whose parents was trying to get back on the right foot or trying to get mental health services, and unfortunately they have killed themselves, and they cannot go home. There is nothing worse than trying to tell a mother who has come to DFACS for assistance with an unruly teenager or a teenager who has mental health issues and concerns that they are unable to address, that it's unfortunate your child did not make it off of their 1013 hold and they have killed themselves. Those are the outcomes, the real life outcomes and impacts to residents of Douglas County if we do not have well-funded services to provide to these people. So I beg of you, I implore you,
please consider what these services genuinely do for the families of Douglas County when you are making the determination of how much funding to provide this service. Thank you.
Thank you, dear.
Our next speaker is Commissioner Greg Baker. Okay. We'll pass to Judge Christina Peterson.
Yes. All right. Good evening, everyone. Again, I'm Probate Judge Christina J. Peterson. I saw the post, Chairman Miller, and I was offended. I was offended more so because the information that was given to the public was incorrect. And that's what I was talking about when I spoke to you all yesterday about false information, throwing rocks and hiding your hands. All that I've asked for in my budget is for the same budget of last year. And the money that was taken out of my budget by the BOC to be restored, which means the same exact budget that I was approved by the BOC last year is the same exact budget that I asked for. I'm not requesting an increase. The coroner's not requesting an increase. That's incorrect. It was your finance department, whoever prepared this, they proposed to decrease hours. So now we have to get before you and argue for restoration of the budget we were originally requested. That is the truth. And I don't like when people put lies out there. And I hear a lot of talk, and Ms. Buckner, please speak with me because I see you post a lot about me on Facebook, and you don't know me and you've never spoken to me. So I would love to shed a little light on what's going on. But I hear you saying, are you tired of footing the bills for these people? You're tired. Were you tired for the sheriff? Because according to the proposed general budget, I think within this year you drastically increased the sheriff's budget, so therefore it doesn't really look like an increase on this paper. But it was drastically increased. That's why everybody else's budgets are being taken. Now you're giving another proposal of $350,000 to the jail. That's the sheriff. I know it looks like it's not, but it is. So where is the outrage of all of this money that's going taxpayer dollars? Are they exempt if they're being spent on the sheriff's office? That's my question. We have to function. And I'm telling you, I provided data, the coroners provided data, tax commissioners provided data. Don't override our data with your opinion. That's why the pastor says slavery is over, because when you don't listen to our words, you don't listen to our data, but you say, hey, I don't believe you, but this is how I feel. Well, we've shown you the data, but do we not matter because we're 3/5 of a person? That's kind of the concerning portion here, right? So I'm stating respect each other. It's not about Democrat or Republican. How I operate, I talk to everybody. I do business with everybody. I love everybody. I would appreciate the same. So I was offended when you asked them to come. If they didn't have any objection, don't incite a riot. You know what I'm saying? So if they wanted to object or have an issue with the probate, the tax commissioner, they would have done that on their own. But you sent them to call them out to come and speak against us, and that seems personal.
Thank you.
There were no other citizen comments.
Next on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the commission meeting of December the executive. Are there any corrections, additions, deletions?
No.
Being none, the minutes stand as approved. We have a financial report for the month of November. Are there any objections? Being none, the financial. We will now begin with our agenda items.
Yes, sir. We have number 4, authorization to approve an MOU with CSB and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review.
Questions or comments?
Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I spoke with Ray Lightford for over an hour and a half last night regarding the CSB. And he stated that right now, what he really needs, $500,000 that is left in his 2023 MOU. He said if we would give him that, the 225 at the first quarter of next year, between the beginning of the year and the first quarter of next year, sit down with him and finalize a budget for CSB. He currently also, as we sit and we discuss about funding them or previously funded them at $1 million, it's under his understanding that the one-time gift from the ARPA funds was going to be a continuous gift. So in other words, we're now looking at $2.2 million. So I respectfully asked him if he would accept this MOU so that we could have a conversation before the end of the first quarter of 2024, and he accepted. So the MOU that was presented yesterday, I would like to just change the amount to the $500,000 to be given to him before December 31st of this year, and $225 on March 31st of 2024. And I'm asking that our board and administration sit down with him to figure out what it is that the actual number that he needs. Because it was my understanding that we were talking about 1.2 million. In his mind, he's thinking 2.2. So I would like to make a motion to accept the MOU to give CSB $500,000 before the end of this year, or once the MOU is immediately signed, and then $225,000 before March, or at March 31st. And also, he has agreed to gladly give us quarterly reporting on just the funds that is given to him by Douglas County. Not to include the state funds, just the funds. He said he would gladly do that. I yield.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yes.
Chair. Oh.
Mr. Dobbs, would you like to go before me?
If you don't mind, I would.
I yield.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I just want to take this time to just shed a little light. Well, first, thank you, Vice Chair Carthen, for allowing me to speak before you, and then also thank everybody else for coming out tonight. I just wanted to shed a little light on just a few things. I'll start with one of my priorities as Commissioner of District 1, which is to elevate communication through transparency. And I wanted to start with, of course, this, the topic of conversation, which is the Douglas County Community Service Board. And some of this, me being transparent, will be some of the confusion from some of the meetings that we've been having. For the longest, I was under the impression that the Community Service Board was a part of Douglas County, like the county's budget, and that they were entitled to a budget there because they were a part of our organization. But in truth and fact is that the Community Service Board, a local provider, public agency that supports the form of mental health, substance abuse, and various things, from having a youth innovation center to providing veteran services, which we definitely support me specifically, and it covers so much within the community. And me being a community advocate, I stand behind everything and all the services that they provide. But I just want to point out and shed the light that no one on this board, I I believe, is against the community, and no one on this board is against the services that the CSB provide. Now here I am, interim commissioner or the appointed or whatever you want to call, the position in my tenure here as a commissioner. But the fact that remains that, I am here and I'm trying my best to represent the town that I was born and raised in and that has given so much to me. And then one of the other things I just kind of want to point when I think about us as a community and sort of my vision for Douglasville or Douglas County as a whole is Matthew 7, where it says, "Do not judge, or you will be judged. For the same way that you judge others will be the same way that you're judged. And with the measure that you use, it will be measured to you. And then why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own?" What this I see is a sense of accountability amongst all levels of whether it's from the government or just the individual person or citizen. That's a common denominator regarding this issue, and to be honest and frank, a lot of issues that we have within the county, both from top to bottom and bottom to top. Just to clarify, and like I said before, the CSB is they do not have a budget with the county. It is a department of it is not a department of the county. It is its own entity. So what entities like that the relationship that we have that they have with the county, the way that we kind of manage that is through MOUs.
Commissioner Dobbs, I'm sorry, but your time's up.
Oh, time's up. Dang. Okay, sorry about that.
Thank you. I had a chance to read over the MOU yesterday, so I just wanted to ask my fellow commissioners, had any of you read the MOU that was presented? Has anyone read this MOU?
The new one or the one from yesterday? Question.
I only have one. It's in draft form, but it's the memorandum of understanding that is on the agenda tonight.
Yes, I read it.
Okay. And you are in agreement with this MOU, Commissioner Dobbs?
No, ma'am. The one that I second was the changes that Commissioner Alcaraz just made to that MOU.
Understood. I would like to know who drafted this MOU.
My office.
Your office drafted it. And so your office states in this MOU, basically that it acknowledges the county awarded to CSB a subrecipient agreement, and that 2022 certain funds that were initially awarded to the county under the Federal American Rescue Plan Act of 2021, the county has repaid such ARPA funds to the federal government, which converted the ARPA award into an additional 2022 award from county funds, bringing the total 2022 award from county funds to, and then there's a blank amount. And so I asked yesterday, I've asked several times to every single one of you on this board and to the finance department, including Ms. Miller, to please give me documentation where we, the BOC, must pay back ARPA federal funds. And every time I ask, I'm told there is no documentation. Yet there is an MOU before me that you all want me to vote on to allow my chairman to sign, which is a lie. We don't do that here in Douglas County, at least not while I'm on the board. I wouldn't set Chairman Miller up like that. I wouldn't do that to him, regardless of what political affiliation he is. You don't do that because everything falls back on the county. Everything. So to state that we have paid back Federal American Rescue Plan Act money for 2021 and put it in an MOU and think that somebody would sign it, to me, is just wrong. It's illegal. Because you can't give me the data. You can't even cite to me what the OCGA code or the SLRFR code is for this. You cannot ask me to run this county on a what if. Data. You have heard data come before us. I expect data to continue to come before us before you put things like this before us. I yield.
On what is in the MOU, I understand. Accurate. Not ARPA has ended pay funds. Says the county has repaid funds. I understand it. Approved by the board asked me, county, go ahead and repay the ARPA fund. Not because issue. Real problem. There was not a demand. I think finance was acting preemptively, becoming a problem. So the MOU doesn't say that ARPA has requested a refund, or the county has repaid the money. Therefore, it's money from. That's what it says, and that's what happened. I understand. Nothing illegal or wrong about it.
Yes, why I say it's illegal is because we have not repaid it. The U.S. government has not even asked us to repay anything. When you put that narrative out there and you put it in an MOU for us to take up, you're stating that we have done exactly what this MOU states. An MOU is a binding contract. So why would you do that to us? That is foul. Secondly, where have we given ARPA funds that any other sub-recipient or MOU recipient of ARPA funds is under this type of scrutiny? I don't know of one.
Sub-recipient, all signed, sub-recipient, they agreed to provide.
All the documentation has been given. I keep hearing that narrative, and Ms. Pat and CSB Director Lightford came in here yesterday and cleared that up. The only thing that we as a Board of Commissioners should be doing is setting a budget for 2024. I asked yesterday, where was the $500,000 that we as a board allocated in 2022 of December to be given as part of the $1.2 million that we allocated? And that was prior to Chairman Miller, that was prior to Commissioner Alcaraz, and that was prior to Commissioner Dobbs. This MOU basically repeals what we put forth. You cannot go and repeal a 5-0 vote to satisfy the county coffers because you think there may be an audit finding. You ain't completed an audit. I don't have an audit in front of me from Douglas County, but I do have an audit in front of me from CSB, who has passed their state audit, which is higher than our county audit. So I don't like treating our partners this way. And more importantly, I don't like that the citizens are the ones who suffer because of these types of shenanigans. It is wrong.
I strongly resent the insinuation of there being shenanigans and illegality going on.
This is
I have
illegal.
drafted an MOU that reflects what I understood
Who told
the
you
parties
this?
to be.
Who told you? Because you didn't come to the Board of Commissioners, you didn't come to me.
I sent it to the board. I had conversations with different people who
But
said we need to have an
you-
MOU to
okay,
provide
but
this.
the
It was
peop-
presented to the board to review and approve. If the board doesn't approve it, that's okay. I mean, I'm not.
No,
but I-
no, no, no.
But it's
What-
okay not to like the draft. It's not okay to personally insult my integrity and to accuse me of illegality.
I am,
It's not
I am
okay.
asking why this states that we repaid ARPA funds when we have no notice from the United States Office of Personnel Management and Budget to ask us to repay.
My understanding was
all
that
right.
we did repay ARPA funds, and I'd like to see, maybe ask finance if that's accurate.
I've asked finance to please give me a letter stating
Right.
that we owe it. You can't keep doing this, because what it does is it hurts our community and it confuses them. And you've confused my commissioners. I asked yesterday, please cut the check for $500,000. Nobody can withhold what we've already appropriated. It's in the general fund. Cut the check and let's decide what we will give CSB.
I make a motion that we cut the check.
Second.
All in favor, raise your hand.
In favor, my hand is raised.
Next.
I yield. So I make a motion that we deny the authorization to approve an MOU with CSB and authorize the chairman not to sign this document. Do I have a second?
Having no
Second.
second.
I have
So-
a second.
All in favor of the motion, any discussion?
Yes, discussion for, I have a question to that. Because what a second is that if we just made a motion to cut the check for the $500,000, which was owed in 2023, then there would be no need for the MOU to have that stated there.
Yes.
So the $225,000 that's in the budget for CSB for 2024, then we could still move forward with, and us as a commission could then have a budget review at some point, whether it's mid-budget or mid-year or at the end of the first quarter, to continue to be able to meet with the CSB and figure out what the ask is, how much money they need, so we can all be on the same page, and us as a board can vote on how much money we want to allot in addition to the 225,000 that we already have allocated for our 2024 budget for CSB. Is that correct or not?
Yeah.
I think it's correct. I don't know if I need to put this in form of a motion or not, but the 225,000 also, I make a motion that we pay first quarter of next year, and that we look at the procedure and figure out a way to fund CSB in future months.
So I accept your amendment to the motion.
Oh, okay, all right.
So it would be point of order, I think, because the chairman made the first motion,
And you,
right? Or was it your motion?
it was my motion. It was my motion.
My
Okay.
bad.
Understood, okay.
Okay, we have a motion. Any more discussion?
Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I would like to ask for friendly, for a friendly sub-amendment that we, on that motion, that we go forward, that next year on the new MOU, that CSB provides us with quarterly reports.
They already do.
Ma'am, of just Douglas County funds. I'm asking her to add that.
What you can do, Commissioner, you can make that a condition of
A condition of, for them to provide us Finance and Board of Commissioners. I have still not yet to receive that quarterly report, for them to provide all of us a quarterly report in regards just to the funds that is given by Douglas County.
Chairman, call the question.
We have a motion?
Yes.
Okay, okay.
Yes.
All,
No, he was asking as a condition of his vote.
all in favor? All opposed? Mr. Dobbs?
I'm in favor. Right hand is raised.
The motion passes. Thank you.
I concur based on that resolution.
Okay, the MOU's out the door.
Okay, next is number 5, the 2024 budget adoption.
Comments?
Thank you, Chair. So we have had several emails go back and forth, I believe, in regards to the budget. And because we have not sent out a line-by-line budget, it has really brought about a lot of confusion. I spoke with the DA, I've spoken with the tax commissioner, I've spoken with the coroner, have not had a chance to speak to the probate judge. I've spoken to several department heads, and everybody keeps singing the same song, that they don't know what's in their budget. They don't have a breakdown like it's normally done. And so I know, and you know, I want to give grace, because I understand that, Chairman, you are new, and that you are relying on the staff to give you accurate information as to how to do this process. The process is done differently than I have had it done in the past 5 years. So I know you present the budget before us, and we either accept it or amend it or do what we do. But what I ask, my ask is that we table this budget until we properly speak to all of our department heads, including our judges, including our elected officials, so that they can feel comfortable in knowing what is in their budget. Everybody keeps telling me that they have a summation, but they don't know the line items they don't have. So I would not feel comfortable, I'm only one vote, but I would not feel comfortable moving forward without each department head and each elected official understanding what's in their budget.
Do we have any more comments?
I too, yes, Chairman, I too have received department head.
Okay.
I yield.
Dobbs, you
I have a
any
comment, question. Can you hear me,
Yes, sir.
Chair? Okay, so my question, well, first question would be, to what date or when will we want to table this to? And then after that question is answered, then it's to the Administration and Finance Department. Could we stand to table that? Because I didn't know if this was like a pressing issue that the budget needed to be approved before to continue like funds being allocated or stuff being paid out. So would we be in line with whatever date that we table this to allow that? Or is this something also that will be an exception so everybody can be on the same page from all entities?
I believe we would be required to continue with the 2023 budget, is that correct? Until the 24 budget is approved. Is that correct?
I think we should, I would recommend that we adopt a resolution to that effect that says that we will continue, that authorizes continued appropriation of funds pending the adoption of a 24 budget.
That would be, we'd have to table it before we make the resolution, wouldn't we?
Yes.
Okay. Learning. Okay. Have a motion.
Chairman Miller? I yield.
One more thing. I think this is very important because this is going to, the department head have some questions. Well, is I think it'd be good for our county administrator to basically explain where some of these salaries are coming out of, such as contingency. Some of them just have questions about that, and I just think it would explain that.
Administrator?
Commissioner, could you read that?
Yes, sir. Just some of them are asking about the salaries coming out of contingency fund. That is one thing that's, I would just like for that to be explained.
Yes, sir. Raises that you passed in October 20, affect actual. We remain those dollars that were allocated function. The dollars that were allocated for those raises are located in our contingency line item where they have remained because some of those funds are not going to be used to fund vacancies. So those dollars are guaranteed. They're earmarked in the fund balance for raises that were provided for all employees that were in those positions at those particular time. Those monies are sitting in, they're sitting in an account to pay for those raises. So what we've been getting back with the budget is many people want those raises actually put in their particular budgets, and we basically have made a decision to keep them in contingency going forward until we do integrate them ultimately in the budget for actual positions. But right now they're in an account, they're in a contingency account, they're earmarked in the fund balance to cover all of those raises going forward. With regard to the, if I may, Mr. Chair, with regard to the tabling of the budget, Attorney Coleman is correct. You can always do a continuing resolution. I want to point out that, again, each department, we went through a process. We met with the department heads. We went through this process. The elected officials and constitutional officers had a hearing. You know, I want to make sure we separate those things that we propose that, you know, aren't necessarily in agreement, but we propose the budget. Again, it's the board's right to change whatever it wants. We propose the budget we think is realistic. We don't necessarily agree on all the items in the budget. There are some where you have grant-funded positions that we have not funded because they're currently funded by grants. You have to come back. We have to come back to the board at some point in time to amend this budget by chance if you accept those jobs. That's different than, you know, that discussion is going to go on. The budget, we've proposed the budget we think is fair and represents what it takes to operate this county. We've looked at people, we've looked at departments' fund balances, what monies they have left over, vacancies. We've tried to take that all into consideration. We rolled back taxes last year. We've rolled that back. We've given raises. We're reinvesting back into this community. And again, it's not perfect. We certainly haven't gotten everything right. I will grant you that. You know, we've got a $127 million budget we've proposed. Every year I come to this board, and I have in the past, and I've told you there's about 1% of that budget that becomes, you know, critical, sometimes discretionary. We've tried to work with every one of these departments going forward to iron out what is really needed to run their operations, serve the people. No additional jobs were presented in the budget. We've not cut services, whether it's Connect Douglas. We've tried to maintain that given that we have to have a balanced budget. There are going to be, quite to be transparent, there are going to be, over the course of this year, times where we're going to have to come back and amend that budget. If, we don't have $127 million in the bank. We passed something today with the expectation that we will have $127 million in the bank at some point in the near future. We don't have that today. So it's all based on this money coming in at some point in time. Yes, the tax collector, the tax appraiser, all of them do what they have to do. We have to account for those funds correspondingly. So we do the best we can to estimate what that looks like and how it's going to work. But we're not going to agree with every department. I think you've heard that now in successive meetings. We disagree on what some of those departments need. We've looked at their history. We've made a proposal that we think is fair. We believe everyone has gotten their budget. We've talked to some of these departments about what's in their budget. Some of them are disagreements. That's fair. But our proposal is that you recommend that you move forward with the budget at hand.
It does, yes, ma'am. Yes, sir, I yield.
Make a motion that we table this budget till the next date. Clerk?
Our next meeting is January the 9th.
January 9th, that we pass a resolution stating that we will continue to operate under the 2023 allocations.
Motion, do I have a second? Second. Go ahead, Rick. Commissioner. Commissioner Dobbs?
Can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir, now I can.
Okay, sorry about that. So I said second. I second this to table, just so we all have that transparency and everybody can be on the same page with that, because we all have the same kind of emails with folks asking the questions. So I don't see why tabling it won't hurt if we can then put in that resolution to continue the 23 budget until we come to where everybody's on the same page. I yield.
Any other comments? I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Mr. Dobbs, how do you vote?
Yeah. My hand was raised for in favor. Sorry about that.
You can't see your hand, isn't it?
I know. I'm
right.
raising it too. It was raised.
We
I
have-
was like, oh, you can't see
right.
me.
We have-
All opposed?
No. I'm going to approve the table.
Okay. The motion to table it passes. We'll do this again January the 9th.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
out of an abundance of caution, I actually prepared a proposed resolution
Okay.
to address this. I'd like to read it to
Who?
see their pleasure.
Can we pass Attorney Coleman that microphone?
Question? Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I have a mic now. Sorry.
Okay.
Whereas the Board of Commissioners of Douglas County, Georgia has been able to adopt the budget 2024. Whereas in order to allow the Douglas County government to continue operation without interruption until such time as the 2024 annual budget is adopted, it's necessary for provision to be made for continuing appropriations for Douglas County departments, services, and businesses in general. Whereas it has been determined by the Board of Commissioners of Douglas County that it is in the best interest of the citizens of Douglas County, authorization be granted for continuing appropriations to Douglas County departments, agencies, and offices pursuant to the existing 2023 adopted budget to allow continued operations pending the adoption of the 2024 annual. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Commissioners of Douglas County that until a 2024 budget is adopted by this governing body, the 2023 existing budget and
appropriations shall continue as the budget for the ensuing year. That's the proposed resolution.
We have a resolution. Do we have a motion?
We already agreed.
Who made the motion?
No, the motion was already approved in the prior motion that I made. I asked that we accept the resolution. He just read it into the record.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Next, we have the consent agenda that you all have before you, so we will just need a motion to accept and approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a agenda raised.
Aye. Right hands raised.
All right. You have an approval. Expenses next. Expenses.
So moved.
Second.
Second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
We have a few announcements. Constituent Service Manager will come read the announcement.
Good evening, Board of Commissioners, and good
Evening.
evening, citizens of Douglas County. Join us for the courthouse debut of the County Carolers, our senior citizen a cappella group. They will perform a selection of Christmas carols on December 20th at 11 a.m. on the first floor atrium. That's tomorrow. For more information, you can contact Felicia Turner at fturner@douglascountyga.gov. The probate office will be open on Saturday, April 6th, 2024, August 3rd, 2024, and December 7th, 2024, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. for all probate services. Bring One for the Chipper is back. Keep Douglas County Beautiful is holding our annual live Christmas tree and live wreath recycling event on January 6th, 2024. You may bring your live trees or live wreaths to the Lithia Springs Home Depot from 10 a.m. to 12 noon to be recycled. The address is 1000 Thornton Road, Lithia Springs, 30122. For more information, you can contact Imaji Stewart at istewart@douglascountyga.gov. The Douglas County Courthouse will be closed Monday, December 25th, and Tuesday, December 26th, in observance of the Christmas holidays. The courthouse will also be closed on Monday, January 1st, in observance of the New Year's holiday. Douglas County Fire and EMS, the Sheriff's Office, and E911 will be opened as always to protect and serve the residents of Douglas County. This concludes the announcements. I yield.
Any more business to come before the board? None. Coleman, go into executive session.
Mr. Chairman, we have no need to go into executive session.
Okay. Merry Christmas to you all.